never having any grandparents, having very few relatives.
My father and my uncle, my mother's brother, were picked up on Kristallnacht and taken off to concentration camp.
It's my personal credo that tolerance begins when ignorance ends.
And I like everybody to know that there's life. If you want to make it, you make it.
Life was quite normal until the Nazis came to power in 1935.
The Nazis began to destroy bronze synagogue, and destroy stores and arrest people. And then people realized that they had to leave.
The parents said, it's going to be an adventure, you're going to have fun, and we will follow in a couple of months. That's what they told the kids. Yeah. Now, most of the parents did not follow. They weren't able to follow.
I felt there was something big going on. And when we got on the train to go to my Oma and Opa, I thought, I just don't understand this.
We were requested to put on a yellow star, and this is what the yellow star looked like, but we had to wear on our chest. This one or this one here.
They just wanted to get rid of us. Our biggest problem was that nobody wanted to take us in.
Jews were not allowed to walk on the sidewalk, they had to walk on the streets. And so various things changed that were not like that before.
And he asked me, when he saw my prayer book, are you a Jew? I said, yes, I am.
On occasion, they beat the hell out of me.
And the walls were camouflaged with brick, sand, and wood against, holding the sand against the wall so it wouldn't sound hollow. So that was basically our living quarter for 2 years.
I lost my younger sister. She was married. She was older than me, but I had two sisters. They're both older. She was the younger one. She was married with a child, maybe a year, 2 years old. They all died, she and their husband and the baby, from cold and hunger in the ghetto.
We were allowed to bring a very small amount. They told us we could take what we could carry. Okay, maybe one bag per person.
My mother and my sisters were already pushed ahead, and they were marching toward the gas camp. Yes.
We had to walk about 5 kilometers to the camp. The camp was very somber, and the first thing you smelled and saw was the crematorium.
We have been put into cattle cars, incredibly pushed like sardines. We're standing most of the time.
But within about only 50 feet from the gate, a German officer put his cane around my neck, pulled me out of line. My father held my hand, so he came too. Then a few other people put him out of line. By the time they pulled 11 people out of line, the 3,000 were marched to the gas chambers, and they were gassed, and they later burned. Only 11 of us survived.
Many nights we spent in the air raid shelter and hearing the bombs overhead falling and praying all the time that they wouldn't hit our place or our shelter.
My mother died about 6 weeks before we were let out.
Then he said, stay together because you have a much better chance of surviving if you're together. And also stay alive so you will tell the world what they're doing to us here.
I came out to the sight of elderly people on their hands and knees,
scrubbing the cobblestones with toothbrushes. And if they didn't scrub hard enough, they were kicked by, there were Nazis standing all around with boots. They would be kicked, and all of this was to the accompaniment of a lot of laughter from the people standing around.
And they took in groups into the building. I didn't see nobody coming out. And I was sure this is the end of it. I was just thinking how long it's going to take me to begin losing my consciousness.
When we were transferred to Plaszow, the women were taken directly to Stutthof. So they did not stay in Plaszow. Stutthof is another nasty camp. So from Plaszow on, just me, my brother, and my dad were together. And my mother evidently was lost in Stutthof, my sister and father.
He took his gun out from his things and put a bullet in the chamber and brought the gun and gave it to me. He said, "You shoot him." And he killed his parents, he got a hand in it. These kind of people had a hand. I said, "No, I can't kill him."
November 1941, when the war killed my mother and my youngest brother, Yakov.
When we got actually into action, our duty was to carry casualties from a battalion aid station, which was the first medical doctor that saw them, back to evac hospitals like the MASH units.
After the screams of joy and the tears and the hugs, my mother said, "Now we can wait for Papa's return together." As I said earlier, everyone was naive enough at the beginning to think that the people who had disappeared would magically reappear. Unfortunately, it was not so.
I survived by luck, nothing else, luck.
The whole courtroom was stunned at some of the revelations of the defendants, you know, and witnesses would come up and confess to having ordered the slaughter of 90,000 Jews in the Ukraine. When you talk to someone who's just admitted to that kind of slaughter, to say, "Why did you do it?" and hear them say that they'd been given those orders, that was stunning, just to see that element of military behavior, obedience, no matter what you're asked to do.
All through my life, this feeling of being different, dealing with parents that suffered so much and were still alive, but emotionally not. The only way they could survive is to shut down their emotions.
I so believe that if people would take the time out to know other people, we would have a lot less problems.
So I told him, he said, "I survived. Hitler didn't survive, but I survived."
What I always say, I do believe in God even now. God wants me to be here today and talk to you.
All over Europe, I saw signs that said, "Never forget, lest it happen again."
It was very important to my husband and I that we keep the memory of all who died alive by passing it on to the other generations, to our children and to our grandchildren.
I love the fact that I have this photo. There isn't anything else left. Like many families in Eastern Europe, nothing left. But because of his decision to be a pioneer, and I guess it was just luck, the two survived.
There's not too many of us left. And if we don't tell the story, people will forget what happened. So we have to tell it, to keep it in mind that people remember what happened.